Extensive new survey data suggests that Canadians have more trust in their institutions and their neighbors since the COVID-19 pandemic. But York University sociologist Cary says that trust is highly correlated with how much money people make. Dr. Wu and his colleagues surveyed the same group of Canadians 7 times between the fall of 2019 and winter 2021. This was on their trust in their neighbors and their social institutions. He found that trust grew slightly for about 2/3 of the people he surveyed, but about 20% of respondents, mostly those with lower incomes, reported a sharp drop in trust. Dr. Wu says that around the world, surveys find that people with less money have less trust in their society. Well, joining us now to give us further insight into his study is Dr. Cary himself. Sir, welcome to Forum Daily.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Now, we know that this study did not focus specifically on trust in institutions, but trust between Canadians and society overall over time. So can you tell us a little bit more about the purpose of this study?
Yeah, so since the pandemic started, growing research has shown that trust is critical to effective response to the pandemic. Communities with more trust are better able to weather the pandemic. Individuals with more trust are more likely to comply with control measures. Trusting individuals more likely to wear masks, more likely to get themselves vaccinated. So, but very little research looking into how people's trust might change. So the purpose of our study consider how Canadians' trust might change during the pandemic.
And it's interesting that the study looked into 3 theories on social trust during times of social stress. So tell us a little bit more about these 3 theories and which patterns you recognized in your research.
Yes, in general, when a crisis occurs, there's some people think that when people seeing each other, helping each other, those could create a sense of solidarity. People might become more trusting when people see people helping each other. And a second theory suggests that when a crisis happens, those negative experience, hardship, people losing job and losing loved ones, those could make people less likely to interact with others, and they might become less trusting. There's also another theory suggests that people's trust view is learned early in life. So even the pandemic may not change people's trust. But over argument is that when a crisis happens, there could be different changing trajectory. Some people might become more trusting, some people might lose trust. So we analyzed the longitudinal data. We did find 3 patterns of trust change in Canada.
So you've seen all 3 patterns in your research, sir. I want to jump to the research itself. So the study found that most Canadians have become more trusting of their neighbors and others, but some Canadians have become less trusting. So what do we know so far about the demographics associated with these sentiments?
Yeah, we find that majority of Canadians have become more trusting and some have lost their trust. The key predictor is socioeconomic status. People who are more wealthy, richer, more educated, more resourceful to manage risk, manage the pandemic, they have become more trusting. But people who are less educated and lower socioeconomic status, they have lost much of their trust.
All right, and I want to jump to something you mentioned earlier, that trust is highly correlated with the amount of money people make. So why is that? And is this only associated with trust in institutions or overall trust among people?
Yeah, so social trust is really about life control. It's about being optimistic and being about that resources, being resourceful to manage risk, right? So people at higher socioeconomic status, they in general are happier, have greater sense of life control. So they are more trusting prior to the pandemic, and then they become even more during the pandemic. But those individuals who are at lower socioeconomic status, who have fewer resources to manage risk, who are more likely to experience economic hardship, have lost much of their trust. And of course, social trust is also related to people's trust in political institutions. And lower income status people often have lower trust in political institutions, and then they also have lower trust in people.
Very interesting research. Dr. Wu, thank you again for joining us today on Forum Daily.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Stay with us. When Forum Daily returns from break, we'll talk about new funding for NORAD after the announcement by Defense Minister Anita Anand. We'll be right back after a short break on Forum Daily.